Now finally we have done writing all the code for inserting the data inside the database. Like we have created the function for adding users, and also we have performed this action. Whenever I click on this add new user button, what happens, okay, what data will be inserted inside the database. Okay, everything we have done. And here before that I just wrote here p name. Okay, it actually a name because in my database I have given my column name as name. Okay, so whatever you give here, that you have to pass here. Okay, same thing you have to pass here, and these variables are nothing but whatever data we are inserting inside the form. I'm just storing inside these variables. I'm just passing that variables here. So once I pass this one here, that data will be stored inside the columns. Okay, inside the database columns, this data will be stored. Okay, here whatever you have passed here on left side, that should be matching with this one. Okay, whatever you have given here inside the database, and here whatever variables you have created here, okay, where our data will be stored, that variables you have to pass here. Okay, now we are almost done with this inserting the data inside the database. Let's check whether the data is getting inserted or not. Okay, now here I am just going to come. I'll refresh this one. Before that, let me just inspect this and check whether the data is getting inserted or not. If the data will be inserted, then I'll be getting the response. Let us check here. I'll just come to console. I'll just click on this add new user button. I'll just write here Khanam at gmail.com. Let me just write one number. I'll just select one file, and from here let me just select this one, open. I'll just click on submit. Okay, now here I am having this error, parse error, and here I am having what error I am having inside my code. And also here you can see, here I am getting this wait, data is loading, because here I have written that inside script.js. Let me just come here, inside JS, inside script.js, I am having this one. Okay, before my data is getting sent inside the database, it is loading for some time, and then it is, okay, it is not successful, so it is not coming here directly, it is coming here and it is printing me the error. Okay, whatever error I am getting here. Okay, let us check for the error here. Okay, you will be getting all the options. Okay, and also you will see here I am having the syntax unexpected. Okay, some error I am having here. Now here let me just check here inside script.js. Okay, inside script.js I don't have any error. Let me just come to user.php. And here inside this, okay, now here I just have to write here dollar fields. Okay, because we are inserting the values. Now here these are nothing but our values where all the names will be stored. Like if I just write Seema at gmail.com, that values will be stored here. So here I just have to pass here dollar. I'll save this one. Let me just come to ajax.php, and here I am having all this p name, email, mobile. Okay, these are the name fields which are present inside the input field. Okay, now here everything is same. Okay, now here else part I have not closed. Let me just close this one. You can see else part I have to close. This is the else part ending here. I'll just save this. Okay, now everything is fine. Let us check for that one. I'll refresh this again. I'll just click on add new user button. Let me just add Seema here, and here I'll be writing Seema at gmail.com, and mobile number, photo. Let me just select this butterfly, open. I'll just click on submit. Okay, now you can see here I am getting this response. Once I successfully get this response, I will be getting the data inside the database. Okay, let me just come to database. I'll just refresh this one. Okay, now you can see the data is successfully inserted inside the database. Okay, Seema at gmail.com, whatever number I have given here, it is successfully inserted. Okay, don't worry, I am going to explain you everything. Okay, whatever we have done till now, we are going to revise so that we don't get confused whatever we have done. Okay, this is how we are going to insert. But the problem, if you see here, once I click on submit button, the form is not getting closed. Okay, now if I just close this form, again if I open this one, you can see the values are still present inside the form. So two things we have to do. Previously I told you we have to do these two things, and later on we are going to do. Now we are going to perform these two things. First, whenever I click on submit button, I have to close this form, and once it is closed, all the values should be reset. Okay, I should not be having any values here. So when it is happening, whenever I click on submit button, only then this action should be performed. So which means that inside script.js, whenever I am getting this response, okay, if my response is successful, here I am just checking the condition. If I am getting the response, then I just have to close the form. So here using this jQuery, I am just going to come here and my form, okay, this user model I just have to close. So here inside script.js, I am just going to paste that ID. Okay, entire model I have to close, and here I'm just going to write model, and I just want to hide that one. Okay, I don't want to show that one once I click on submit button. And also I just want to clear all the form fields. Next time whenever I click on add new user button, it should be empty. Okay, so for that I have to clean my form, and inside form.php, and for form I have given this add form. Here I'm just going to paste that one, and here I just have to write this one 0th index, and I just want to reset all the values, so you have to write like this. I'll save this, I'll refresh this one. Again I'm going to insert one more data. Let me just write here Khanam, and here I'll be writing khanam@gmail.com. Let me just write one mobile number, photo. Let me select this book, submit. Once I click on submit, the form got closed, and now when I click on this add new user button, you can see no fields are there. Okay, all are empty. So you have to do, whenever we get this response successfully, when we get this one, only then we have to perform this action. We have to close the form, and also we have to reset the form. Okay, sorry, we have to close the model and we have to reset the form. Okay, this we have to perform, or else the form will stay and also the values will be present. Now let's check inside the database. I'll enter. Okay, let it refresh. Okay, now you can see two values are inserted inside the database. Okay, now we are successfully done with inserting the database. Now let's revise all the things, all the concepts, whatever we have done till now. Okay, because this is advanced level project. If you are a beginner and if you have started with this one, then you should know, and each and every step you have to keep on revising. You have to keep on practicing, so that you will get to know the concepts in clear way and better way. Okay, let me just come here. Okay, if you want, you can just skip this revision part and you can go to the next part of this one. Okay, but I have to revise this so that you will be having much better idea whatever we have done till now. Okay, if you are having any errors, you can still see this one and you can solve your issues. Okay, now here inside index.php, we have just written this basic boilerplate of our project. Okay, using Bootstrap, I have just linked Bootstrap CSS link, Font Awesome link, Bootstrap JS, Popper, and also Bootstrap min.css link. Okay, we have linked all the basic links. Inside this, first I am having this heading. Below this, I have just created one separate files, form.php and profile.php. Now below this search box and add new user button I am having. Then below this, I am just having this pagination, and inside this table data, I have just created one table and I have just pasted that one. Now inside this form, I have just given this ID as user model. Okay, role, okay, if you want you can give, or else you can just remove this one as I told you before. And class, I have just given model and feed. Okay, these are Bootstrap classes. You don't have to worry and you don't have to by heart. Once you go to Bootstrap website, you will be having this entire form code. You just have to copy and paste in your project if you are using Bootstrap. If you are writing completely from the scratch, then you have to write JavaScript for that, and you have to do a lot of things. If you are using Bootstrap, then you can just reduce that one. Okay, you don't have to write the form code. Okay, entire thing you don't have to write. Okay, so here we have done all these things. Now below this I am having this pagination, and inside this I am having, okay, this entire thing I have just copied from Bootstrap, and only for this nav I have just given this ID as pagination, and for this UL I have just given justified content to be center. Okay, now everything we are done. Now once we are done with this basic setup, you just have to come to database.php, and inside the database you have to create the database. Okay, here I have already created this database called user data. Inside this I have this user table. I'll just come to structure, and here I have created this table. Okay, we have already seen all the steps, how to create the database, how to create the tables inside that, and how to give auto increment primary key. Everything we have seen, and here everything we have done here. Okay, now once we are done, we have to connect to the database, and we are just using PHP oops concept. So here I am just using the class, and inside this I am just creating some variables, and inside this variables I am just assigning the values. Okay, this is my server localhost. Here I am having root, okay, that is username, and here I have just given the password and this database name. Okay, if you have not changed the password and if you have not messed with the database, then you will be having the empty password. Okay, if you want to change, then also you can do that one. I have changed my password, so I am just giving my database password. Okay, you can give your database password and your username. Okay, now here I am just creating this constructor, and inside this constructor I am just using this try catch block. If I am having error, this will be redirected here. If I am not having any error, I will be successfully connected to the database. And inside this I am just creating this data source name variable, and here I am having this MySQL host, and inside this first we have to pass this one, okay, whatever variable you have created, and from where we are taking this one, we are taking from the same class. Okay, inside the same class we are creating this function, so we are taking this variables from the same class. So here we have to write this. From this I am just taking this database server name. then I'm having this database username, and then finally you have to write this char set UTF. Okay, this is nothing but encoding. You have to pass these things, 3 things inside this DSN. Now once we are done with this, I'm just creating this array. I'm just creating this one because I want this to exist for a longer period of time. So I'm just creating this attribute persistent, and inside array I'm just passing this one using PDO. Now once we are done with this, we just have to create the new PDO, and inside this, whatever I have created this one, I'm just passing this variable. Okay, inside this variable we have just passed our local host. Okay, that is our server name and the database name. So now here we have to pass the rest things, that is nothing but our username and password. Okay, here I'm just passing that one, username and password, and this is nothing but, okay, inside this the third parameter will be the options. Okay, this whatever we have passed, and this is nothing but for longer period of time we just want to access this, so we are just passing that one. If I'm having some error here, it will come to here inside the catch block, and this error will be printed using this get message method. Okay, I hope everything is clear till here. Okay, now once we are done with this database.php, once we are done connecting to the database, now here I have just created user.php. Inside user.php I have just created some functions, okay, like function to add users, function to get rows, function to get single row, function to get count, function to upload photo, and here function to update, delete, and search is still pending because till now we have seen only how to add the users inside the database, and how we are going to see how to fetch and how to get all the rows, how to get counts, we are going to see later. But this is how we are going to create, and we have already created all these functions, and inside this I'm just going to create one class user, and this user is going to extend all the properties, that is nothing but all these properties, okay, all these properties, all these functions from this class, okay, from this database class. So I'm just writing here, this user is extending, okay, this class is extending the properties from the database class. Now here once I use this database, I have to require this file, okay, only then I will be able to access. Now inside this database.php I'm having this server name, I'm having username, password, and database name. My table name is not present inside this one. My table name will be present inside user.php, and this is my table name. Okay, inside that I have just created function for adding users. Okay, for better understanding you can refer the previous part, in that I have already done this one. Okay, now here first I'll be writing this SQL query. Before writing SQL query, I'll just check the condition if whatever values I'm entering. Okay, now here this values, if I enter some values here, now this values if it is empty or not. If it is not empty, I'm just creating one variable fields and placeholders, and for this I'm just passing this empty array as my initial data. Now I just have to access all the values, okay, all the values I have to access whatever I enter. So I am just passing here for each loop, and inside this I'm just passing this parameter, and this parameter I'm just changing it to fields, as fields, and this will be equal to the values, okay, whatever I have entered. Now once I get this one, now here I'm just assigning this one, this fields is equal to whatever field I'm getting here, I'm just assigning to that one. And again for values, okay, like values like whatever name I enter, that values I'm assigning inside this placeholder. Okay, this field is nothing but ID field, column field, name field, everything, and this is nothing but the values, okay, whatever I'm having here, that values. Then finally I'm having here SQL query for inserting the data inside the database. Insert into this table name, which means that from this class, from this particular class I am just accessing this table name variable. So here I am just writing this table name, and whatever values I am getting, I just have to separate by comma. So using this implode method, I am just separating with comma, and first we have to pass the fields, okay, whatever fields are present inside the database, ID, name, email, mobile, photo, that fields I am passing, then values, and whatever placeholder, okay, whatever values I am having inside the placeholder, in place of values I am just passing this one. Okay, we are doing this because we want dynamic data. We don't want any static data to be inserted inside the database. Each time we are inserting new data, so each time we are entering dynamic data, and dynamic data will be fetched from the database. So we are doing this one. So we are performing this all these actions. Then finally we are having this SQL query. Once we are done with this SQL query, we have to prepare for this one. Only then we will be able to avoid SQL injections. Okay, once we are done with preparing the statement, we have to write this try and catch block. Inside this try catch block, we are going to check for the begin transaction, which means that if my data is successfully inserted, okay, if it is successfully transferred inside the database, only then I have to execute this one, and whatever last ID I am inserting, I am just accessing that one, and whatever changes I have done inside the database, I am just telling that yes, these changes are done by me, and here I am just committing that one. And finally this last inserted ID I am just returning here. Okay, then if I am having some error while inserting or while writing the code here, I am just writing in catch block, and here I am just doing the rollback, because whatever transaction, if it is failed, okay, this should be rollback. Okay, this should not change anything inside the database. Whatever previously I was having, that should be the same. Okay, I should not change anything inside the database. This is all about add function. Then next we have seen about getting rows, and we have already seen, we are going to see about pagination. So inside get rows function, I am just passing the start limit and end limit. Now I just want to access all the data from the database. So we are just writing select star from table name, and I am just going to do order by, and I just want to order by ID, and in descending order I am just ordering, and here I am just writing the limit 0, 4. Once we have passed the query, then we have to prepare for the statement, and inside this I am just preparing that one, and inside this prepare we just have to pass this variable. Okay, once we are done with this preparing, we have to execute this one, and here I am just taking the condition. If my row count is greater than 0, only then I have to fetch all the records from the database. Now here if I just show you the database, I'll just come to browse, and here you can see, here I am having 2 data, which means that my row count is greater than 0, 1, 2. Okay, it is great. Okay, my row count is 2, which is greater than 0, so it is going to fetch all the records. Now if I have 0 data inside the database, then it is going to return me empty array, and no data will be displayed in my website. Okay, if this condition is true, and here I am just fetching all the record, so these records will be stored inside this variable. So here I just have to return that variable. Okay, this is all about getting rows function. Then we are going to see about get row function, and get row is very useful for updating, for deleting, and for searching the data. Okay, we are searching for that particular record or that particular data we are just going to update. So for that we just want to fetch the single row. Now if I just want to update this schema, I just have to fetch this ID number 1. Okay, so for that we have to write this get row function, and inside this we are just passing these 2 parameters, fields and value. These fields are nothing but, from this ID field I just want to access this 1 value, from this name field I just want to access this schema value. Okay, so we are just passing these 2 parameters, and inside this I am just writing this query, and this query states that I just want to select all the data from this table name, where my field, okay, this field, okay, whatever I am giving here, this field is equal to whatever value I am entering. If it is matching, only then that data should be displayed. Okay, once we are done with writing the query, I am just preparing for the statement, and whatever data we are getting, we are just going to get in the form of array. So here while executing this one, I am just passing this field, okay, this field whatever I am getting here, and inside this I am just assigning to the value, okay, this parameter value. Okay, from which field what value I am getting, I am just assigning that value here. Then again in the same way I am just taking the condition, if my row count is greater than 0, now I just want to fetch only single record, so I am just giving here fetch. Here I just have to fetch all the records, so I am just giving that one. And this fetch ASOC I am just giving here because now this fetch and fetch all is going to return me the values in the form of indexing and associative arrays. Like it is going to return me like this 0, then I will be having some value, then again 1, I will be having some value in this index. So I just want these values, okay, these values I want, so I am just writing here fetch ASOC. Okay, using fetch ASOC I can just get the values without indexing. If I am not having any data, any matching record, then I am just assigning to the empty array, then finally I am just returning the array. Then we are writing the function for getting count, how many data are present inside the database. Now totally 2 records are present. So to get that count, we are just writing this one, and this query select count star. Now this count star I am just writing this alias p count from this table name. Okay, from which table name? From this table name I just want to get the count, okay, from this table name. So I am just writing that one. Then after writing we have to prepare, we have to execute, then we have to fetch that one, okay, how many records are there. Then after fetching that one, I don't have to return this result. Okay, here I am returning this result because I am fetching all the data, name, email, mobile, everything I am fetching here. So I am just returning that one. But here I just want the count of that one. So here whatever variable I am passing here, I am just passing that one here. Okay, that is nothing but alias. Then finally we are seeing, then we have seen for how to upload photo. Okay, this function we have passed, and inside this I am just passing one parameter, that is nothing but our for photo. And here I am just taking the condition, if my photo, okay, whenever I am entering, if it is not empty, then I am just separating these values. like temp name of the photo, size of the photo, type of the photo, everything I am just separating and storing inside separate variables. Then my name of the photo will be like image1.jpeg, like that it is going to be. Now from here I am just going to separate this one. Okay, whenever I am getting this dot, using this explode method, whenever I am getting this dot, I am just separating this name and this extension. Okay, I'm just separating that one, and once I get this one, I'm just converting this one. Okay, this end part, okay, this is the first part and this is the second part. So this end part I'm just converting into lowercase, and whatever extension I'm getting here, I'm just passing that one here. Then finally I'm just creating the new file name and using this MD5 hashing. Okay, you can do any kind of hashing if you don't want to store the same name as your file name. I'm just doing here MD5, and whatever time I'm having, current time, I'm just giving this file name. Okay, this file name, whatever I'm getting from the image, I'm just passing that one, and then again I'm just concatenating with this one, and whatever extension I'm having here, I'm just writing that one, like image name.jpg, image name.png, like that I'm just concatenating with this. Then finally I'm just creating one array, and inside this array I'm just passing some extensions like jpg, png. Okay, if you want you can pass this gif, or else you can just remove that one, no problem. And here I am having all these things. Here I am just checking the condition. If inside this array, okay, this whatever extensions I am passing here, this extensions, inside this extension, if whatever extension I have passed inside this image, if this is present inside this array or not. If it is present, I am just getting the current directory, and inside this I am just creating this uploads folder, and inside this uploads folder all the images will be stored. Then here I am just creating this destination part, and whatever upload folder directory I am having, inside that I am just storing this new file name. Once we are done with this, I am just moving that file name. Okay, this destination file path, okay, whatever I am getting here, this temp path, I am just moving this destination file path here. Then finally I am just returning the new file name. Okay, whatever file name I will be getting, I am just returning that one. Okay, this all later on we are going to see. Once we are done creating these functions, then finally we are going to JavaScript. And here inside this JavaScript, I am just telling that whenever my document is ready, I just want to load this entire code. Okay, whatever I have written here, I just want to load that one. And inside this, I am telling that whenever I click on the submit button, and inside index.php, not here, inside form.php, I have just created this one. And for this form, inside this button, let me just come down. And for this button, I have given the type as submit. And for this button, I am just giving here. Whenever I click on submit, I just have to access the form. So I am just giving this ID field, and here I am just passing this function, and inside this function I am just passing this event object, because I am just preventing the default refreshing of the form. Okay, then finally I am just using this Ajax. Inside this I am just passing some properties like URL. Whenever I click on this particular submit button, in which file I have to redirect. So I am just giving this file path php advanced, and inside this I am just having this ajax.php file. Okay, I should be redirected to that file, and in this file I will be performing all the actions. And type I have just given here post, and data type JSON, and from which form I have to collect the data. Okay, from this particular form. Okay, from this form, same form I have to collect the data. Okay, from this same form I have to collect the data. So here I am just writing this, and process data and content type we are just writing is false, because we are inserting image inside the database. So we have to write this one. And then finally I am just sending this before send. Then we are having success, and then we are having error. Before send, okay, if you want you can give like loading effect, you can just give alert message. Okay, you can give anything if you want. I am just doing here console. Once I am done with this, I am having this success. If I am successfully inserted inside the database, then I will be getting this response. Okay, after getting this response, I just want to close the model, and also I just want to reset the form. Okay, if I am having some error, inside this error I am just passing this two parameters, request and error. Okay, to get to know how many arguments I am having and what arguments and where the data and in which field I am having this error, I am just passing these arguments. And if I am having some error and using this error parameter, I am just checking for that one. Okay, once we are done with this, and once I click on the submit button, I should be redirected to php.ajax. So here I am just going to come ajax.php, and in this file I have just returned for that one. First I am just accessing this action variable, and inside this form.php, below this one I have just created two input fields. Okay, below this close and submit button, and for this first input field I have given value as add user and name as action, and then name as user ID, ID as user ID, and value as empty, and for both I have given the type as hidden. Now here I am just requiring that file. Okay, required user.php file, and here I am just creating the object for the user class. now here I am just checking that if my action is equal to add user, and if it is not empty, then I am just accessing all the values. Okay, these values, okay, these values I am just accessing and I am storing inside this variables. Okay, these variables I am storing. And here I am just checking that if my player ID or user ID, if it is not empty, then I am just assigning this one. Okay, if it is not empty, I am just assigning this value, whatever I am having here inside this, whatever value I am getting here, that will be assigned here, or else it will be empty. And now once it is done, here I am just checking for image upload. Okay, if my image is empty, first I am just assigning the value as empty, and here I am just checking that if my photo name, if I am not inserting any data, if I am not inserting any image, then here I am just calling this function upload photo, and this photo we have already created inside user.php. We have already created this one, and here I am just passing that one. If my photo is not empty, only then I am just coming this one, I am just calling this function. And here I am just creating one array, and inside this I am just passing all the name, okay, all the column fields, whatever I am having inside the database, and inside that database whatever value I have stored here, I am just passing that one here. Okay, else if I have not inserted, or if my image is empty, then instead of inserting the photo, I am just inserting name, email and mobile. Then finally I am just calling this add function. Okay, this add function is also created inside user.php. Okay, this entire thing we have already done, and also we have written this insert query. Okay, now this, okay, this if you want you can just refer this one. Okay, later on we are just going to use this one. Okay, this is nothing for getting the rows. Okay, for getting one particular row, we are just calling this get row function, and from this ID field, whatever data I am getting from this one, I am just accessing that one. If this is matching, only then I am just getting this one, and I will be getting the count and getting the row of that database. Okay, this is all about the revision of how to insert the data inside the database. Next we are going to see how to get rows, how to get count. Okay, everything we have written the functions. Now finally we are going to see how to fetch from the database and how to display in our website. Okay, this is all about adding data inside the database. We are done with our first step now. Then now finally we are going to the next step.